Welcome, this is 5.6, fitting function to data. And we do this by entering data points. This is just data that I picked up a year since 2001. This is the number of internet hosts, obviously. It's in the 100,000s or millions, but this is the data. If we were to plot this on a graph, I would hope that you could look at these actual data points and decide, does it fit more a linear, more an exponential, or a quadratic? You have looked at sequences of each of these and you kind of understand how the growth occurs. A quadratic may be a little bit shaky for you, but linear and exponential should be solid by now. Come see me if they're not. Regression is simply the line that you choose, the line of best fit for these data points. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing in class. I just wanted to give you just notes for using the graphing calculator. First off, to enter the list in the calculator, you're going to hit the Stat button and then use the cursor, go to number 1, Edit, hit Enter, and then you'll be brought to a list screen. In L1, enter your X values. So that would be these values on the left-hand side, the independent variable. Then in L2, enter the Y values or the dependent variable. Okay, just use the cursor to go down and do that. Now I'll be wandering the room, but I wanted you to have this in your notes to help you to get started. Okay, to have the calculator draw the scatter plot, you're going to go that second button up in the left-hand corner, and then you'll hit Y equals because it has stat plot above it. When you get into the stat plot, turn off all of the plots except for number 1. Turn on number 1, you'll go to your cursor on number 1, hit enter, and it'll be flashing over the on, hit enter again, and that'll turn it on. I do have a graphing calculator here, but I didn't want to hold it up to the camera and show you button by button. I just want these in your notes so that you can follow your notes. Use the calculator. I want you to do a little bit of problem solving here. I'm not going to step you through every time on these calculators. But I don't want you just sitting there waiting for me. Okay, once you hit graph, after you've entered the list, it will not take you to the graph. It will not graph your points until you hit zoom 9. Zoom 9 fits it and everything. Now, if your points come out like this with the line drawn, or points like this with the line drawn, you should be able to tell me which one is linear, which one is exponential. The actual line that's drawn is the regression. Now that's what we look at to see, is it best fit? Because the line is not based, or the line isn't just going through your points. It's actually based on some calculations to try to get a line of best fit. I want to talk about those calculations now. Residuals are the distance from the actual data points to the model line. So it's the distance from these little points to the line. To see the residuals, you'll hit Stat and then take the cursor and go over to a blank column. In Stat, you'll be in the list. Go to the blank column, you'll have L1 that you put your X values in, L2 that you put your Y values in. Take the cursor on over to a column that doesn't have L1, 2, 3, or 4, and up at the top of it, take the cursor to go up into the top, and then use your alpha button and type in the letters R-E-S-I-D. That's all the further you need to get. Hit enter again, and the calculator will actually take your Y1 and Y2 values, and it will take its line of best fit and calculate the distance for every single point. You can do this by hand. It takes a long time. I don't recommend it. Once you get there, then you can go back in and go second stat plot, turn off your plot number 1, turn on plot 2, and go down to your Y list and set it for residual. Then hit graph zoom 9, and what will come up is a graph showing the line. It's not actually showing the curve or the actual line, but it's just showing the distance from that best fit line and your actual data points. So that's what that's showing. It's showing the amount of error. Error is here. The residuals, the distance from the line of regression or your best fit line, the residuals are the distance of your actual data points from that regression line. So a residual is the observed minus the predicted. I will not be having you have to do that by hand, but I do want you to understand it. So it's the actual data minus the point on the line of best fit. You'll have a positive residual if your line of best fit is below your actual data point. You'll have a negative residual if your line of best fit is above your actual data point. Now, it's a good fit if your residuals are kind of a complete match of positive and negative. You've got about the same number of positive residuals as negative residuals. If the random distribution, you've got just a random distribution across this line, and if the absolute values of the residuals are very small. Now you can look at the correlation coefficient. I didn't make a board for this, but what you would do is you would go into your stat. Instead of edit, go calc. Take the cursor over to the second column, do calc, and go down to whatever you think it will be, whether it's a linear regression or an exponential regression. You could even do quadratic regression. Hit enter on that, and it will give you the best fit, the line of best fit, the equation to use, and down below it will have, if you have diagnostic on, it will have a correlation coefficient. That's R equals 1 minus whatever your residual has been. The closer that R value is to 1, the better the fit. Okay? So I believe that R value, I'm just going to use this board here, I believe that it can go from -1 to +1. The closer it is to the 1 fit, the more accurate it is. And it could also be -1, but you don't want it at 0. Okay? You want it as close as possible to be the most accurate. All right? That gives you just an overview of what the calculator is doing and what all of these different things mean. Now, when you get into class, as you need help on the calculator, you can holler, but at least you've got your notes as to how to get yourself started and to kind of figure out what it's doing. Thank you very much. We'll see you in class.